Have you ever felt trapped in your own body, a prisoner to your self-image? This is a tale of a man who lived this reality day in and day out. A man who, for all intents and purposes, was shackled by the chains of his negative self-perception. The world saw a man, but he saw a monster. His reflection in the mirror was a constant reminder of his struggles, a mirror that reflected not just his form, but also his isolation. His body was his prison, his self-image the warden. The nights were the longest, filled with self-loathing and a desperate yearning for transformation. His life was a constant battle against his own mind, a war that seemed unwinnable. But remember, my friends, even in the darkest of nights, the stars still shine. Even in our lowest moments, there is always a flicker of hope. In the depth of despair, a beacon of hope would soon emerge. Change often comes when we least expect it, in forms we could never anticipate. It was a day like any other, a seemingly ordinary encounter that would reshape the course of a life. A man, let's call him John, crossed paths with our protagonist. John was a beacon of health and vitality, the embodiment of what our protagonist aspired to be. Their conversation was casual at first, the usual pleasantries exchanged between two strangers. But as the words flowed, so did the wisdom. John spoke about his own journey, his battles, and his victories. He shared how he had once been where our protagonist was, lost in the depths of despair and self-loathing. His advice was simple yet profound. He suggested working out, not just as a physical activity, but as a form of self-care, a way to cultivate self-love. John encouraged our protagonist to look towards his fitness idol, not with envy, but with aspiration. Be like him, John said, but in your own unique way. Use him as a guide, not a benchmark. Strive for progress, not perfection. These words resonated, touching a chord deep within. Skepticism was there, of course. The road to transformation seemed steep, filled with hurdles and setbacks, but there was also a glimmer of hope, a flicker in the dark, a possibility of a new beginning. After some thought, our protagonist made a decision. He would give it a chance. He would step out of his comfort zone, face his fears, and challenge his limitations. He would embark on this journey not because he hated his body, but because he wanted to love it, to care for it, to celebrate it. His motivation was no longer rooted in self-loathing, but in self-love, no longer driven by fear, but by hope. And so, with a spark of hope, the journey towards transformation began. The toughest battles are not against the world outside, but against the demons within. Our protagonist embarked on his fitness journey, a path laden with trials and tribulations. It was not just about lifting weights or running miles, it was about pushing past the boundaries of his own mind. Each day was a battle, a struggle, a test of will. His body screamed for rest, his mind pleaded for relief, but the spirit within him refused to relent. Every bead of sweat that trickled down his forehead, every gasp of breath, every muscle that ached, was a testament to the battle he was fighting within himself. The physical pain was intense, but the mental exhaustion was even more daunting. The temptation to give in, to let go, to succumb to the comfort of his old ways was always lurking in the shadows. But he knew, deep down, that he had to resist, had to fight, had to persevere. With each passing day, he found himself growing stronger, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. There was a newfound resilience in his spirit, a determination in his eyes that was unshakable. He began to notice the subtle changes in his body, the firmness of his muscles, the endurance in his breath. But more than that, he noticed the transformation within his mind, the shift in his perspective, the strength in his resolve. He discovered that the true battleground was not the gym floor or the running track, but his own mind. The real opponent was not the weights or the miles, but the doubts, the fears, the insecurities that had kept him captive for so long. He was not just building a body. He was rebuilding his confidence, his self-worth, his identity. And so, despite the pain, despite the exhaustion, despite the temptation, he kept going. He kept fighting. He kept pushing, because he knew that the only way to win this battle was to keep moving forward, to keep evolving, to keep growing. The battle was tough, but our hero was tougher. True victory is not about being better than others, but about being better than the person you were yesterday. Our hero's journey of transformation is a testament to this. His triumph is not just about the chiseled physique he sculpted through sweat and determination, but about the mental metamorphosis he underwent, discovering his inner strength and resilience. His newfound confidence radiates like a beacon. His self-esteem, once buried, now soars high. He no longer shies away from mirrors but embraces his reflection, seeing not flaws but a testament of his journey. He has accepted and loved his body not because it's perfect but because it's a symbol of his victory over his inner demons. He stands tall not just as a man who has transformed his body but as a man who has transformed his life. His journey has become an inspiration, a beacon of hope. From a man drowning in despair, he became a beacon of hope for others.